So I moved to Turkey a few years ago now from the UK, and so I wanted to take a moment today to share with you some of my experiences, some of the perspectives that I have on a few of the things that I really love about this country. Before I start this video, I just want to give a bit of a disclaimer. So in the UK, generally we call Turkey, Turkey, and I'm from Liverpool, and in Liverpool we pronounce things with like a, like Turkey. That is how I say Turkey. But obviously to pronounce the word Turkey in the Turkish way, it's pronounced as like Türkiye. And I really struggle. I really struggle to say Turkish words when I'm speaking English, because I feel like to just be like, oh, like when I moved to Turkey, it just feels so unnatural to me. So for the rest of this video, I'm just gonna say Turkey, and just please forgive me. Like, I'm aware that that is not the name of the country anymore, but just for the ease of me making this video, please just forgive me. So before I moved to Turkey, I complained about the UK all the time. I would always complain. I would say the weather is terrible, it's really boring, everything's expensive. Generally, I just didn't have many nice things to say about the UK. And I think that that is probably quite common with people. They generally don't have nice things to say about their country, because I feel like you do take for granted what is already there. I feel like since I moved abroad, you start to really appreciate things that make your country unique. And I think sometimes it's really hard to kind of notice those things when it's all that you're used to. I've got to know a lot of Turkish people that have moved to the UK, and I kind of see their perspectives, and they share with me all of the lovely things that they really appreciate about the UK that I never really paid attention to, because again, it's just something that I was used to and I kind of took for granted. So all of that is to basically say, sometimes I think it is a good idea to try and see your country from a foreigner's perspective, just to be able to better appreciate some of the things that make your country special and unique. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was community. I feel like, comparing it to the UK, Turkey is very much a community driven country. It feels kind of a bit like nostalgic for me, because when I hear stories about life in the past and the way things were before like technology and things, I feel like generally people in the UK were like more connected, and like all the kids would play together in the street, and like everyone knew everyone, and it just generally felt like there was a lot more community. I feel like now in the UK people are a little bit more isolated. I think here in Turkey there is still definitely a big focus on community. You know, like in the UK as well, people generally buy all of their shopping from Asda or Tesco or like these big supermarkets. But here in Turkey, people very much still shop local, and I think that that is a really special thing, the fact that so many small businesses like thrive here, clearly. And also as well, the like relationships with the local businesses as well. For example, when we were planning our wedding, me and my husband, he was like, oh, I should give an invite to like the guy who cuts my hair and the guy who we get kebabs from. Like, it's just so interesting to me, because like I just don't have relationships like that with the butcher in the UK, because he just works in a supermarket and it's like a different guy every week. So yeah, I think that that is a really nice thing. And also people are very supportive and reliable too. Like if you are moving house, everybody would fall over themselves to try and help you move house. If you need a lift to the airport, someone will like take you to the airport. And that's not to say that that doesn't happen in the UK, but I think that, like, for example, you can ask people, but if they have plans, you know, you understand, you don't expect it. But I think here in Turkey, if you was to tell someone that you were like moving house and you'd hired like a moving firm, or you were getting a taxi to the airport, people would be like, what? Like, why? Which I think is nice, because it just feels like you know that there's always people there to support you and to be there for you and give you a hand if you need it, which I think is really nice. Moving on to the second point, and I think this is going to need a video all on its own, because there is just so much, but there is just so many unique traditions and customs. It's so interesting to me because it's just so different to the UK in every respect. I especially love the culture around weddings. There's like little cute traditions where the bride puts like salt in the like groom's coffee. There's like a lot of parties in the street. When people go for like military service, there's like a party in the street. Somebody gets married, and when the groom is coming to pick the bride up, there's a party in the street. Like, just always parties in the street, which I feel like is so cute because it kind of makes me feel again like nostalgic for the UK. After the war in the UK, there's a lot of these like street parties and things where everyone kind of get together, and it just felt really communal, and I feel like I don't really see much of that in the UK anymore. There's another custom as well where people will pay for like vans to, I guess, give back to the community. They will pay for a van to give out like free food to basically anyone that comes past. So there's been so many occasions where I've been outside and there's been like a van that's just given out free like rice or like free desserts and things just because. The next point I wanted to talk about was the nature. In the UK, generally we think of Turkey as being one of two things. We think of Istanbul and then we think of Antalya, like sunny Mediterranean, Aegean, Turkey area. So everyone's perspective of Turkey, I think in the UK, is that it is a hot country. Turkey is actually such a big country. There's different climates in every corner of the country. So for example, in the southern part of Turkey is very like Mediterranean climate. In the northern part of Turkey, it's like Switzerland, or it's like Scandinavian countries as well, like loads of mountains and cold weather. Honestly, like it's so beautiful. And then there's like the eastern part of Turkey, which obviously has more like Asian influence. And all of these different areas of Turkey have a very unique climate, culture, customs. I think that this is so cool because you can visit all of these different climates whilst staying in like one country. In the UK, it's obviously such a small country, like you can't really escape like the weather. It's pretty much the same weather in the northern part of England as it is in the southern part of England. Maybe it's like a degree or two warmer down south, but it's like the same weather everywhere. But I think here in Turkey, like you can go and find some snowy climate places and go skiing. If you want like a beach holiday, you can go and sunbathe in Antalya. If you want to find like really historical places, you can do this too. Like there's just so much here in this one country. That's probably why everyone in the UK always like travels as well to other countries, because the vibe is like the same really all across the UK, and so you do kind of have to go to another country in order to experience a different climate. At some point I really would love to go on like a little road trip around Turkey. I think it would be so cool. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is a little bit more specific, I guess, and that is about coffee shops. See, I said before that I didn't know what the UK culture was, and I realized what the UK culture is, and a big part of that is pubs. If you want to catch up with your friends, then you'll like meet at the pub or at a bar. Even to be honest, like if you go for brunch, there's like bottomless brunches, like girls will go for a brunch and have cocktails and things. Like it's like a big part of UK culture is alcohol. However, I stopped drinking alcohol a few years ago now, and to be honest, it was after I moved here that I realized that it just wasn't really necessary. I think in the UK it's just such a normal thing because it's so entwined with the culture. It's like weird to not drink. But I think here in Turkey, obviously it's not a Muslim country, it's a secular country, but the predominant religion here is obviously Islam, and alcohol is not allowed in Islam, so a lot of people don't drink. And so there is, instead of that, a big culture around coffee. Coffee shops are like pubs. It can be like 11, 12 p.m. at night and the coffee shops are still open. People are drinking coffee or getting dessert. I feel like it's quite sweet to just see like a group of like boys eating a cheesecake with a cup of tea at like 11 p.m. So the final thing that I wanted to talk about is the people. In general, I found that Turkish people are so hospitable. I think this is probably my favorite thing and the thing that makes them stand out so much. It honestly shocked me so much when I came here because it's just like in my head, I feel like in the UK we are also very hospitable, but I think it's just not in such a obvious way. Like when I first came here, like all of my husband's friends, like I'd go to their house. If I said, "Oh, I'm cold," they'd be like getting you a blanket, like getting you slippers, falling over themselves to be, hospitable, like look after you. If you are drinking a cup of tea and your tea, gets like towards the bottom, someone's like running to get you another tea. It's just not like that in the UK, like especially boys as well. Like if I was at someone's house in the UK, like at a boy's house, and I said, "I'm cold," they'd be like, "Put a jacket on." Like I don't feel like they would be like running off to get you a blanket. Or you might say like, "Oh, do you want a blanket?" But you'd have to say like, "I'm cold, can you get me a blanket?" I feel like they wouldn't just run up and start trying to find you things. I think people here just pay so much attention to guests. And it's like, I like to think that I'm hospitable and I like to think that I look after my guests, but I feel like since I came here, I think I abandoned my guests. Like the amount of times we've had people in this house and my husband's been like, "Oh, look, his tea's like, get a tea." And I'm just like, "Oh," because like I'm not paying attention to it. Like I'm just not paying attention to people's teacups. But like obviously like in Turkey, like it's a thing. People pay attention to these things and I think it's so cute. But I guess I need to learn some things about hospitality as well. Last year when I got married here in Turkey, and my friends came from the UK and some of my family as well. And this was like the main thing that people like talked about. They were like, "Wow, like everyone here is so hospitable." Like we had a little party here before the wedding, and again, like everyone was just like running around like, "Oh, have you got a drink? Do you want another drink?" Like it like surprised my friends as well because like I say, like in the UK you would have drinks and stuff out and you would have some like food out and things, but like I don't know, like after that you probably wouldn't run around like asking people to like fill the drinks and stuff. You just like, the party's the party, like it just happens the way it happens. And literally I would like have a drink in my hand and then it would be like towards the bottom and then someone would be like, "Here's a new one." And like replace the drink and you were just like, "Oh, thank you." Like because we're just not used to it at all. Like it's just not like how we do it in the UK. So I think that that's something that is really nice about Turkish people, but also very surprising specifically for the boys as well, because I just think that they're so like polite and so thoughtful. And that's not to say that boys in the UK aren't like that as well. It's just not as common. Like if a boy was like that in the UK, you would be like, "Wow, he's such a nice boy. Like he's so like thoughtful." But here it's like everyone's like that. Everyone's so thoughtful and so warm and friendly and hospitable that it's not like an exception here. It's like generally everyone, which is so nice. I keep saying everything's nice. I think they're the main points. I just want to say as well, because I think obviously when I'm talking about the things that I love about Turkey, I'm comparing it to the UK. And so I kind of have to negatively talk about the UK in order to explain why the Turkish thing is like positive. But I just want to reiterate that I love the UK and I think there's so many amazing things about the UK as well, and I could make a whole video about the things that I love in the UK. But obviously the focus of this video is things I love about Turkey, so I just don't want to sound like I'm being very negative about the UK because that's not my opinion, at least anymore. That's not my opinion. So yeah, that is all from me. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting. Maybe it gave you a different perspective, or maybe it gave you a bit more appreciation for some of the things that make this country unique and special. And if you did, I would really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, comment. I'm growing this channel, so it would mean a lot to me. I am planning on doing more videos like this one, just sharing some of my experiences since I've moved to Turkey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.